Welcome to Upon Further Review, your deep dive into the last century of sports. Join your moderator, Hall of Fame director Keith Watson, and Aegis experts Mac Lloyd and Todd Holden as they go behind the legends and the legacy.
Brought to you by HarfordLifestyle.com Sports, the Harford Sports Hall of Fame, and the Historical Society of Harford County, located in the old Bel Air Post Office at 143 North Main Street. My partners are Todd Holden and Mac Lloyd. Mac is the man behind 1,000 stories about Harford County athletes and athletic contests. For nearly 50 years, he covered Harford Countyans as they moved on to the NFL, Major League Baseball, Olympic Games, and so on. Our other panelist is local historian, well-known photographer, and defender of wildlife, Todd Holden. Todd comes to us live from the Rustica Wildlife Preserve, located in the deepest, darkest reaches of Lee's Woods. Welcome, fellas.
Good morning.
I hope you're okay with that intro.
Oh, everything's cool.
I put at least 5 minutes into it.
Oh, that's
But anyway,
4 minutes too much.
So just as what we're looking to do here, what we're looking to accomplish in the long run is to provide an opportunity for people that may not have been aware or of the Aegis and the value that the Aegis brought to sports people, sports enthusiasts from Harford County for, I don't know how many years, 70, 80 years in terms of the sports page. And then for people that like me, that enjoyed every Thursday getting the Aegis and reading stories by Mac and other sports writers and Todd's pictures and so on, just to go back and look at some of the things that have happened, the things that we may have forgotten about. And let's start off today with since we're at the end of basketball season, I'd like to start off with talking about Aberdeen basketball's Ernie Schwartz. I'll turn it over to Mac to bring us up to speed on Ernie Schwartz.
Well, I first laid eyes on Ernie Schwartz. I was in the 8th grade at North Harford High School, and I had the best job in the whole school at that time. I was the ball boy, the manager of the equipment. And that was even of more esteem than being the principal of the school to us young guys. So anyway, I was there when Ernie Schwartz brought his Aberdeen team in, and they were a potent, you could tell right from the start, extremely well-coached team. And I think they won it all that year and in 58, and Ernie was selected by the Aegis, that would be Robbie Wallace at that time, as coach of the year. And I'm not sure, I don't think Ernie stayed there for a long period of time, but he was hired as a basketball coach at East Carolina University. And he coached there for a bit, and then he became the school's athletics director. And I believe he had just finished his career right there at ECU. Some of the players on that team he had included Butch Smith and Fred Fuqua. They were the guards. And they had like 3 guys, I think they were all listed at 6'2", which was pretty good size back then. Bill Gusweiler, Jim Isom, and Dave Tanchuk. And then George Connolly, better known as Corky back then, was he was the 6th man. And after high school and college, George Connolly returned to Aberdeen as a phys ed instructor, and he coached some marvelous athletes there. He coached, among others, Irv Pankey, who did well, went to the NFL after a great career at Penn State. And he actually coached Cal Ripken Jr. in Cal's senior year when Aberdeen won the state championship. Butch Smith, he was a really good leader on that team. And after his high school days, I think he became best known for being a high-level fast-pitch softball catcher. And he caught Ty Stofflet, among others. Ty Stofflet he was a world-class pitcher. And so Butch had that claim to fame.
All right, so I had Flip Jackson, and then Closaurus.
Yes.
Archosaurus.
Artichosaurus. Phenomenal athletes.
And then the Colts. Okay. All right. Okay. So Ernie Schwartz was a pretty high level coach and had great programs over at Aberdeen. Another program that was another Aberdeen program that was substantial was had a player named Closaurus. That could you tell us a little about him? He played. I guess he got drafted by the Tigers and went on to be a big coach and an
Right.
AD.
Yeah, the first time I saw his name was when Mr. Robbie Wallace at the Aegis selected Athletes of the Year for the newspaper, and he he was the very first pick. In other words, his year, which it seemed like it was sometime in the early 50s, Archosaurus. I didn't have the pleasure to watch him perform, but he signed a bonus contract with the Detroit Tigers. I presume he went into their system, but don't think he made it to the show. I was covering a high school playoff game at the University of Maryland, maybe in the mid 90s. And I was flipping through a program and I saw the name Archosaurus as being an official at the tournament. And I was thinking, oh, great, I'll get a chance to beat this guy. In the meantime, we had trophies made for the individuals. We had the kind of backdated. Back then, there was like one large trophy at the paper, and it had little metal plates on the front with each year's recipient listed. So I thought, it would really be cool if I had the Aegis buy trophies for everybody and we could like somehow get it to them. Well, in Art's case, we'd have to go back 20, 30 years to try to find him. And that's why it was such a coincidence when I'm over at Maryland, I see his name. So I went over it, and actually he was working at the scorekeeper's desk on the floor. So I went over and talked to him. And I said, "You'll be here tomorrow, right?" And he said, "Oh yeah, I'll be here till it's over." I said, "I'll have a trophy for you tomorrow." So I dug through the trophies back at the Aegis, found the one with his name on it, and hauled it over to College Park and gave it to him. So that's my Archosaurus story.
Well, when he signed the bonus for professional baseball, I had a 57 red Thunderbird. And I was going back to University of Maryland, and I couldn't take the car with me. And Clarence Boyle called me up. He says, "I'm real good friends with Archosaurus. You want to sell that car?" I said, "Man, you couldn't have picked a better time." And I sold it to Artie, who then sold it to a doctor in Havre Grace. But that car, when I bought it, was $2,500. And it got 30 miles to the gallon because it had overdrive. But Artie was just loaded with talent, personality. He had what it was going to keep him going, and a great guy, great athlete, as well as Butch Smith. Butch Smith, I worked one summer with at the Proving Ground in the mess hall, and he was on my team. And him and Falcone, I can't think of his first name, both Aberdeen athletes. And at that time, Jim Smith was pumping them out, man. Great athletes.
Well, that brings up another person that Mac and I were talking about, which is Doug Houck.
Oh, yeah.
One of my dad's buddies growing up, I heard about, before I moved to the area, I heard about Doug Houck on a regular basis. And Doug was a big guy, was not never played football, but was supposedly an excellent.
He played
catcher.
basketball and baseball. He was a catcher in baseball and played basketball as big as he was, and did a good job.
And I understood he was in the Pirates farm system for some length of time, and
Yep.
I guess things
He
just
got
played out.
homesick, okay? Like a lot of our county guys. Freddie Calcutt got out to Texas Tech on a full ride with $15 a month for laundry. and got homesick. And Doug and Clarence Boyle had a contract with, I think, Pittsburgh, I think, as a catcher, and they wanted to come home. The life wasn't for them away from Harford County, and they came back.
Right. That also happened with Cal Ripken Sr.'s brother, Bill.
Yep.
Not Billy. This is Billy's uncle, Bill. He was signed. He went to a Dodgers camp in Cambridge, and Branch Rickey of the Dodgers was there. And Ripken was so impressive, he signed him to a contract on the spot, sent him directly to the AAA team, which I think it was Montreal. It was either Montreal or Toronto. Anyway, he wasn't there long, and homesick, hitchhiked, came back to Aberdeen. And another person, Joe Swam, was a running back at Bel Air High School in the 70s. He went down to South Carolina. It could have been an all Bel Air backfield, but Joe got a little homesick, and he returned to Bel Air.
It was honesty. These were homeboys. They were used to the county when the county was pretty rural and pretty small. And yet they turned out athletes that were on par with bigger schools everywhere.
Right.
Great. Well, look at North Harford. If some of you guys had football back then, no, didn't have football. Just like with Flip Jackson, there was Central Consolidated, did not have a track team. And he would come down to Bel Air when we were practicing lacrosse, and he would pick guys like Calcutt and a couple other ones, Johnny Walter, to race against 100-yard dash races. And he got whooped a few times, but he won a few. And that was the competition that was growing inside of him. That's something a great athlete, no matter where you are, you either got it or you don't.
Right.
And
I think that sometimes, my experience was similar to some of these other guys where you leave the area, you think you're ready for the next step up, and you get up there and it's just like, man, this is so different. And you get homesick. Now, can you get through being homesick? I mean, I know I spent 2 weeks, I was miserable for 2 weeks. The first couple of weeks of summer practice when I was a freshman, and unfortunately I got through it, but I saw a lot of people, they said they took the midnight train. Guys just disappeared. They were practice on Monday, Tuesday morning, they were long gone. But talking about Phil Jackson, his nickname was Flip.
Right.
Any additional information about him?
Well, he came to Bel Air at the end of a lacrosse practice one day, and he wanted to run Freddie Calcutt. And Calcutt was fast. And Flip had on street shoes, didn't even have on track shoes. And as a result of that, Freddie beat him. I went down to the finish line. I didn't want to see the start of it. I went to the finish line, and Freddie edged him out. But boy, to see these two young guys, nothing to gain, no trophies, competition in their heart. And they had it, both of them. And Flip ended up at Luskin's, where they sold TVs up on the hill. And he had a huge following from Bel Air after high school. Personable, likable guy, and a very good career he had. I think he's passed away. I think he's gone upstairs, but great athlete. Great athlete.
Yeah. I saw Flip in the, I guess it would have been early 60s at a Pittsburgh Pirates camp at Bel Air. They held it at Bel Air High School. The camp was run by a fellow named Sid Thrift, who at one time was actually the de facto general manager of the Orioles. And another fellow was with him named Joe Consoli. They ran that camp. At some point, they wanted to get times on everybody, and I didn't know the exact distance. I would estimate 30 yards. They just had, a start line and finish line, and Mr. Thrift and Mr. Consoli were standing across from each other, maybe 30 feet across, and they'd given the start, and they each had their stopwatches. So when Flip Jackson took off, and he was a blur going up through there. He could run so fast. The Consoli and Thrift hit their stopwatches, and they just stared at the stopwatches, and then they stared at each other with a look like, well, that can't be right. So he had Flip run it again, and they were just amazed at him. I'm not sure baseball was Flip's, best sport, but he sure was impressive with it, with his speed. There was at a amateur meet at Morgan State, he ran a 21.1 in the 220 dash, and he followed that up. They wanted him to run it again. Well, he ran a 21.2 against the wind. So that's pretty consistent, yeah. And it was an amateur meet. It wasn't like a high school or college thing. So that's
But
Flip.
still, that's 70 years ago. And I think that the record now is right around 20 seconds. And they're running 200 meters versus 220 yards, which is a little bit of difference in the distance,
Right.
but that's flying.
Oh yeah. Well, he could do that.
Now, he came from Hickory Consolidated, correct?
Central.
Central.
Central
It was
Consolidated in Hickory.
it was in Hickory, but it was Central. Mhm.
And he would have been one of those guys that Coach Bill Brown
Correct.
was his sort of taught him some of the finer points of running
Correct.
and so on. And for those who don't know, Coach Brown was an NCAA champion, a Pan American Game champion, and was known worldwide among the track circles as one of the best runners in the world back in the 40s, and became a coach at Central Consolidated, eventually at Bel Air High School, and that's just an excellent guy all the way around. So I was looking through the ages the other day, the old ages from way back that I have available through newspapers.com. And I noticed a picture of Johnny Unitas fighting for a rebound.
Mm-hmm.
And I read the article, and it talked about how the Colts would come and play. In this particular case, they were playing the Bel Air High School alumni in a charity game.
Faculty.
I'm sorry. Yeah, faculty, not alumni.
Faculty. Tony Hyde, Whitey Wright, Sesky, Penrod. They played all the teachers, and the place was always packed. And Mutchler, Unitas, Big Daddy, Art DiCarlo, L.G. Dupre, Long Gone Dupre, Andy Nelson, Ordell Bracey, Marchetti. Yep. You can pick it up from there, Mac.
Sure.
They were all there, and they didn't look as big as they did when we saw them on the field with all the pads on. They were just regular guys who were tremendous athletes, and they did it for charity.
Right. Even Fred Schubach, the equipment manager, he was there.
I didn't care for him. Freddie Schubach was kind of
well, he always spoke highly of you, Todd.
Oh no, he probably hated my guts. Anyway, they would come, and I had a book, one of the earliest books ever written on Unitas. And I went through the library, and I probably gave it away to somebody, but I had all the autographs in it. I was probably in the ninth or 10th grade, and I took the book with me, and after the game, everybody stuck around, signed autograph. A lot different than it is today.
Sure.
A lot different.
Well, Mac had some stories about the fellow named Call that played for the Colts and ultimately started the Harvard Community College football program, Jack Call. And he played in a couple of those games up in North Harbour and Kennerdale.
Yeah. He played in the championship game.
He sure did.
The greatest game ever. And Mac Lloyd's father, I think, flew an airplane to New York and watched the game in person in Giant Stadium. These are just little bits of memory that come to my mind. But Jack Call actually got in that game. He didn't play a lot, but he was in the game.
Right. Yeah. Well, I happened to be along with my father at that game.
Oh, you were there?
We were there, and your uncle Johnny Norris was with
Oh,
us,
yeah.
and Walter Moody
And
from
my
Dublin.
father and I watched it in the living room, and we caught hell for that because it was Sunday and Grandma Holden and my mom would, go to church and Sunday school. And my father and I were just sitting in that room waiting for the game. And it was live TV back then. I mean, there wasn't any video
Right.
replay or any of that. And what a game. Unbelievable. I mean, you can't buy that kind of suspense.
Well, it was the first overtime game in the history of the
Yes.
National Football
Yes.
League. And one of the best quotes I ever heard was when John Stedman was leaving the press box to go to the locker room to interview some players, he passed Commissioner Bert Bell in the hallway. And Bert Bell looked at Stedman and said, "John, old boy, I never thought I'd live to see sudden death." I thought that was a great quote. It's called
Well,
sudden
then he
death.
had a heart attack and keeled over, right? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
But was that the terminology that was used for overtime prior to?
Yeah.
It was sudden death. It was
Okay.
sudden
Yep.
because first team that scored won, so they called it sudden death.
Yep.
So, but I thought that was a great quote.
And did they just kick the ball off and like restart the game, or how did they go about this handling?
Yeah, there was a
They
coin.
flipped a coin.
Flipped the coin. Yeah, it was like a restart.
They
Yeah,
flipped
they
a
didn't.
coin,
Yeah, they
and
didn't.
I think the Giants won the coin toss.
I
And
believe
then
you're-
the Colts got it. And boy, oh boy, United
Yeah, I
is
think.
not going to give that ball up.
Yeah, I think they had to travel 80 yards.
Yes, they did.
To score.
Yep.
And I remember of all the plays when they were inside the 5 yard line, United threw a sideline pass to Muchler, who caught it, but the field was icy, and he was on an icy spot, and he lost his footing. And I think it was
But
the
they
next.
couldn't believe Johnny Unitas would throw a ball that close to the goal, but he was that
Right.
smart. He knew
Well,
what he
right.
was doing.
And somebody asked Unitas if that wasn't a bit of a dangerous play.
Yeah.
And he said it's not dangerous if you know what you're doing.
That's exactly the quote. Yes, sir. Good memory, Mac.
Yeah. And of course, Amici scored, and Lenny Moore threw a great block for him. And you could have
that's a
driven
great
two
photograph.
trucks through that hole.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about just briefly about the impact that game had on our community. I mean, I wasn't born yet, but I heard about the game.
Oh yeah.
From day one.
It was. Oh yeah. The Colts fans back then. I don't know if you could really describe it. You almost had to live it. But if they lost a game, the people were like sick all week until they could get back there for another game. And I mean, it was really an amazing time. And as far as Jack goes, Jack Call, who played, I think Jack was a New Yorker. I think he was from Cortland, New York.
What position did he play, Mac?
He was a running back.
Running back. Okay.
Yeah, and he was kind of behind L.G. Dupre at the halfback, and then Jack went to. Like I say, Colgate, and also Jack Nichols, who ended up at Harford Community College with Jack. He was at Colgate at the time. And once Jack was traded after the 58, either the 58 or 59 season. And he had a fairly short career in the NFL. And then he came back and he got a job at Harford. I guess it was probably still called Harford Junior College back then.
Yeah, it was.
And he started the football program at Harford. And I remember my predecessor at the Aegis, Pete Schlaer, wrote a nice feature story on him. And the headline had the term rubber footballs because that's what he had to use to start the program. They were, official sized football, but they were rubber footballs. They weren't, like the leather pigskins. And Jack lives in Churchville today, and I think he's one of only 3 surviving members of that 1958 team. Lenny Moore is one, Jack, and I'm not sure.
Well, we just lost Andy Nelson. He died recently. He's
I think there's a third one there. So.
Freddie
So
Schubach?
I'm just while you're talking about it,
No, no, I'm just kidding. It wasn't Freddie. Um, I don't remember either, to tell you the truth.
Oh,
Shane
Raymond Barry's still living. Raymond Barry, he's still
Barry is
living.
still alive.
He's the third one.
Went to SMU.
Right.
while you're
And
talking about starting the Harford program, I've just wondered, where did the kids come from? Did they pull? I mean,
Bel
I can't
Air High
imagine pulling them out
School.
of the hallways at a community
Well,
college.
no, Bel Air High School, Eddie Gross, Mark, I don't know if Mark Giacovetti or not.
Well,
Um,
Giacobetti went there.
yeah,
Yeah, he played
and
there.
Eddie Gross was a tremendous ball player. They didn't win many games. It was the first time they ever put a team on the field. But the Aegis, where I was working at the time, we covered everything they did to give them all the support we could.
But do you think that did Call have any time to go to, say, Sesky or whoever, or these other local coaches, and say we're building a program at Harford Community College or
That I
Harvard
can't
Junior
answer.
College?
I don't know. I don't
Because it would
know.
seem like it'd be quite a trick to pull them out of the hallway. Like you
I
need
know
a
that,
year or so to build.
when Jack concluded his coaching career at Harford Community, um, Dick Fordyce came in, and Dick Fordyce put a championship team on the field, and the president of the college canceled the next year's season because they didn't want to be known as an athletic college. They wanted to be known for their intelligence. And they did not, after winning the championship, they were taken off the field, and no more football.
Well,
Hankins was
definitely,
his name.
it's the best value in education. That's for sure. I've looked at
Well,
that as a coach. I ran that up the flagpole many times, and some parents are just not having. I can't see
no,
my
no.
kid going to a junior
But
college.
that's what it was, and we need to know that. Dick Fordyce is a prince of a man. I've known him all my life, straight arrow, and his coaching career. I think he was also at C. Milton Wright for a while
Right
after
after
he
Harper
helped
dropped.
out there. An
Yeah,
inspiration.
one of Dick's sons is a football coach at what's the school in Carlisle, Todd?
Oh,
Dickinson
Dickinson College.
College.
I don't
And
know the
then
son's name, but
I think it's Brian.
I think it is Brian.
And his other son is like in charge of the ticket operation at Purdue University.
Huh.
So
Well, I can tell you that after we inducted Dick into the Hall of Fame last May, I really got in touch with or in tune with how he was seen and revered by his former players. And
absolutely.
now I'm involved with some of their little Facebook pages. And those guys, they genuflect when he walk in the room, and they get together on a regular basis. They just had a bunch of them up at Looney's a couple weeks ago in the afternoon. Everybody calls him coach. If one of them says coach, they know exactly who they're talking about.
Yep.
Right.
And he had guys coming down from Jersey just to spend the afternoon with him. That's good stuff.
Well, he's one in a million.
So
His
just to sort of get caught up here now, this is obviously 2026. We just wrapped up winter sports. Unfortunately, Harford County didn't have a whole lot to crow about this year in basketball and so on, but we did wind up having 3 state champions in wrestling. We had 2 from C. Milton Wright, a young man named Aaron Mochia, and another one named Cameron Stepp, who Cameron Stepp is going to go to Vanderbilt and play football. And then Amocha is not quite sure where he's going, but he's hoping to go to Hopkins and to wrestle. But we also had a young lady from Bel Air, and she won her 3rd state championship as a junior. And if she wins one more, she'll be one of 7 Maryland 4-time state champions in 50 years of Maryland public school wrestling. So Madison Berthen is on the edge of that. Her dad was a state champ. Her uncle was a state champ. Her 2 cousins wrestle. One of them is in wrestling in college. The other one was a state placer out in Walkersville. And the Berth family, it's just what they do. They're just a great family. Anyhow, let's wrap this up for now. And if anybody has any interest any subjects they'd like to discuss, you can email them to me at thewatty@comcast.net. That spells the Waddy at comcast.net. And we look to do this again here soon. Hopefully, we'll be doing it on a monthly basis. And just tune back in on the YouTube channel for the Historical Society of Harford County. Thank you.